Hello and welcome to the fourth round of the HSBC UK National Women's Road Series. This weekend the riders will take on a two-day stage race, so it's fair to say that consistency will be key on this occasion. For the last round we took things off-road for the Sickle Classic, but it was track racing prowess that proved to prevail. On a day of tough conditions, demanding off-road sections and close-sport racing, it was World Madison champion Emily Nelson who endured. And after that powerful display from the world champion, this is how the series standings look. It's Bex Durrell who sits at the top of the table with 82 points, followed in second by Jocelyn Loudon with 54, Anna Henderson sits third with 46, ahead of Elizabeth Bennett and Jessica Finney. This year's HSBC UK National Road Series is made up of 8 races across the country. At each round there are 30 points up for grabs for the winner. The rider with the most points at the end of the series wins the crown. It's as simple as that. This is the 5th edition of the race. Over 2 days, the riders face courses based on the roads around the Derwent Reservoir. On day 1, the peloton will take on 64.8 miles to decide the first leader. Then on day 2, the riders face some tough climbs before heading to a new race finish after a distance of 70 miles. In 2018, it was Sophie Wright who crossed the line first. Racing through both Northumberland and County Durham, the 2-day tour of the Reservoir returns to the shores of Derwent Reservoir for the 37th time. And for the 5th time, the women's edition, the Alexandra Tour of the Reservoir. Quoted as the best attended still water fishery in Northern Europe, Derwent Reservoir is also one of the largest inland waters in England and covers an area of 1,000 acres. When full, it holds an impressive 11 billion gallons of water and serves as a key part of the water supply network in the northeast. Not only a popular spot for fishing, the reservoir and surrounding areas are a picturesque location frequented by hikers, sailors and cyclists too. It provides a perfect backdrop for this long-standing race. On day 1, it was Bex Durrell that secured the victory to take the first race leader's jersey. It's Bex Durrell that crests the final climb first, and Pfeiffer Georgie is chasing hard behind. Can she get her by the line? No, she's got that gap. It's Bex Durrell that takes it from Pfeiffer Georgie and Anna Kay. Confirmation of the result after stage 1. It's Bex Durrell that takes the win, followed by Pfeiffer Georgie and Anna Kay.
It's a really tough race. There were some killer attacks on that big climb there. So it was just a bit of fight for survival. Bit of a bunch sprint at the end as well. Slow motion sprint to the line off that hill. So yeah, it was a good day out.
And it puts you in a great position to potentially extend your lead in stage 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, that was kind of the aim going into it. I think we fought quite a good race today. So yeah, all to play for again tomorrow and we'll see what happens.
We caught up with some of the riders ahead of stage 2, including the race and overall series leader.
Well, we're just going to have a little chat once we've warmed up and see how everyone's legs feels. I think there's an element of survival today. There's 4 main climbs. We climb as soon as we finish the neutralised section. We descend into Edmund Byers. We only do half a lap of the reservoir. Then we've got 2 big loops over Bale Hill before 1 lap of the reservoir, and then a final climb up the climb we did yesterday. So there's a high chance of people going the wrong way because it's quite a complicated route. But I think it's going to, it's going to be a bit of an attritional race. So it's about not showing your cards perhaps too early and making sure that you're there at the front and just ready to go if there's somebody who's feeling brave.
It's going to be another hard one, I think. I'm just going to try and do the same as I did yesterday, try and mark the attacks and keep pushing on the front and hopefully finish well in a good position.
The Tour of the Reservoir is renowned as one of the hillier races in the UK. I mean, the Pennines, they're quite long climbs here as opposed to short, punchy climbs, which you usually get in other races. Today, when you look at the profile, we've pretty much got 4 big climbs to tackle. And they're going to be, it's going to be quite selective, it's going to be quite attritional. But then it's quite a fast run into the finish, so it could come down to a bit of a reduced bunch sprint. But yeah, anything could happen, so we'll wait and see.
Well, it's Bex Durrell in the race lead as we head now into stage 2 to find out who will clinch that overall victory. The riders rolling out for day 2 now at the Alexandra Tour of the Reservoir, and alongside me in commentary once again today is Hannah Walker. Now Hannah, this race has very much been moved later in the year because of the weather conditions in some of the early women's editions. Were you among the people that suffered from hypothermia?
Yes, I was. I've done this race 2 or 3 times, and I remember distinctly in 2014 and 15 actually. I think that was one of the worst years. It was snowing, it was freezing. We had cars having to come along, give out hot tea and stuff. So it's a much welcomed to be moved later into the year for the riders, certainly.
And a few changes on the circuit as well as we come into the second day of action. But what do you make of this route overall? Because a lot of the riders do use that word attritional, and it definitely features a significant amount of climbing.
Yeah, it's one that, it does suit the climbers. This is the race that all the climbers really look forward to, but it's not to say it's only a climbers race. It's very unpredictable sometimes. Sometimes we see the sprinters, getting in those moves and they're making it to the finish, and they're taking the win. So it's a hard race though, but it's brutal actually.
It really is, and something that Dame Sarah Story, who we see taking to the front on this descent here, she said that before the race. They didn't have an ideal day in the saddle yesterday, but you can see she's taking to the front straight away.
Yeah, she's just opened up this gap here, just naturally on this descent. Riders aren't able to hold Sarah's wheel, but this is a perfect tactic. She's got the run of the road. She can go wherever she wants and pick her own line.
And the bunch all together at this point, and it is Dame Sarah Story, as you said. She formed that little bit of a gap, but she is just taking it on at the front, and it just allows her to be in so much control, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and you can just see the gradient on that shot there and how steep that climb is. So when you're up the front, you can sort of take all the climbs at your own pace and just monitor what's happening. It's a race that needs to be raced from the front. You can't catch attacks from the back. You need to be have your eyes on the ball the whole time.
You certainly do. Speaking of which, it is Natasha Reddy of Bianchi Dummer, the under-23 rider, that has forged quite a big gap there, and it's Dame Sarah Story that has pounced straight on that move, seen that it could be a dangerous one, and she is bridging across now.
Yeah, she's, as I was saying before, it's a race that needs to be raced from the front, and she was there right on the front. She's gone across from first wheel. She sensed the danger of this breakaway, and so have 2 other riders as they start to come across. Looks like Leah Dixon being one of the riders, and a rider from Jaden Welltight there.
Yeah, it looks like Christina Vijak coming across there as well, which could form quite a handy front breakaway group. I think what we can always say about Dame Sarah Story is the amount of experience that she brings to this race scene, not only for herself as a rider, but again and again we see her in that mentor role, and especially recently so much of the young talents coming through as well in her team.
Yeah, definitely. She's got a wealth of experience from, doing these national level races to international. She's not, a Paralympic champion and world champion for nothing. She is so strong. But, this breakaway, it's an interesting one actually, because just to recap on yesterday, we've got Leah Dixon in this breakaway, whose teammate Beck Durrell actually has the leader's jersey. So this is a perfect situation and scenario for them. They're taking the pressure off having that leader's jersey, where actually the other teams who've missed this break have to chase.
We've got Connie Hayes of Liv AWOL really battling that headwind to try and bridge across here. But just to pick up on the point you made there of the Brother UK Tifosi powered by Unform team, is we say time and time again that they do have the options in the race, and it is interesting to see that we've got Leah Dixon up the road, Bex Durrell in that prominent pink jersey taking the lead after day one, but also that series leader as well. Just such a strong team. But it is Jennifer Powell of Bianchi Dummer that bridged across there and has actually injected more pace, and looks like she has got that front group in her sights.
Yeah, a very, very strong ride. Unfortunately, Connie Hayes just unable to get onto the back wheel of Jennifer Powell of Bianchi Dummer, but she's looking comfortable. She's spotted the danger. She actually already has one rider in the breakaway from her team, so should she make it across, they're going to have 2 riders, as we say that, just making the junction there. Bianchi Dummer in a very, very strong position now as Jennifer Powell gets onto the lead group. For me now, Jenny Powell just needs to relax, rest and recover, sit on the back of this group for a couple of minutes, eat and drink, and get herself back in so she can work with this leading group.
Yeah, speaking to the Bianchi Dummer team ahead of stage 2, and we have seen that main group suffer a crash. We don't know what happened there, maybe a touch of wheels on this drag up, a couple of bikes being tangled there, and it is Jennifer Hudson sticking her hand up there for assistance.
You can just see the panic on the two riders there. They're trying to pull the bikes apart, but the one pedal stuck inside the wheel. They just need to kind of relax and calm themselves, do it gently, because actually it'll just take longer to untangle those bikes and essentially get back to that main group.
It's tremendously difficult, isn't it, when you're in that scenario, because all you want to do is get back on the road, but how difficult is it to stay calm when you know that could potentially put you off the back of the race?
Yeah, I think when you're in that position, it feels like it's taking forever. You feel like you're already on the side of the road for 1, 2, 3 minutes. Actually, it's only been about 10, 15 seconds, but it just feels like time's going so quickly, and you need to get back to that group because you look up and you can see the main group going away from you, and you're thinking, how on earth am I going to get back to that group, especially on a course like this, so hilly, it's so attritional that, they want to get back to that main group. They want to be in the race, and I think sometimes the easiest way and the best possible way is to just calm, get it done time efficiently, and be able to get back to the main group.
Absolutely, and it looks like every rider got up and back into that main group quite successfully there. And we glimpse now Claire Steele of Brother UK Fusion RT, the team in that blue colour, and she once again head down, very smooth style, and she has clearly got her eye on bridging across to this front group.
Yeah, she has, and the time gap you can just see in the very far bit of your picture. You can see other riders coming across. We've seen Natasha Reddy now being dropped from that leading group, but the other 4 riders, they're working very, very well together. Maybe if Claire Steele catches Reddy, they can work together, and Reddy might have a second opportunity to get back into the lead.
This front group, as you say, Hannah, working very well together, down to 4 as that gradient really picks up. And it is Claire Steele of Brother UK Fusion RT really injecting the pace and riding very smoothly to bridge across to Natasha Reddy. As she comes past her now, will these two work together to get back to that front group? Well, Reddy and Steele of Bianchi Dama and Brother UK Fusion RT working very smoothly together with the group of 4 that have been out front so far in their sights.
Yeah, they've got the gap down to 1 minute 10 now. Both looking very comfortable actually. Now Reddy's got back into that rhythm. I think the gradient was just a little bit too much for the under 23 rider. As you can see now, Claire Steele has injected even more pace. She's dropped Reddy, and she can just, on this long straight here, she'll be able to see that leading group of 4. It'll give her a real good motivation to try and get across to them, but she just looks so solid on a bike. She's very comfortable, she's no movement in her upper body, just focused, and she's got that gap down now to 50 seconds to those leading 4, so she's chopped off 20 seconds already, so it's looking promising for Claire Steele of Brother UK Fusion RT.
Absolutely rock steady, isn't she? Absolute smooth pedalling style, and we can see her just start to freewheel, turn to that camera with a huge grin because she knows she's made junction to that front group that now sit at 1 minute 40. She was working very well there with the Bianchi Dama rider Natasha Reddy, but ultimately you've got to presumably look, is that time gap coming down enough?
Yeah, and I think you've got to also play to your own strengths. If she feels like she can give more to get across to that leading group, you've got to do it. It's also, you could see the delight on her face. So, I love that she gave that smile to the camera. But you've got to play to your strengths. And if you feel that you're not getting anywhere, and essentially they haven't got a rider in that front group. That team, Brother UK Fusion RT, needed a rider in that leading group. Otherwise, it's kind of game over. We're into the closing stages of the race. So yeah, it's kind of shaking up the dynamic of this leading group now.
Just see that cadence there as once again it kicks up, and we get a glimpse of Group 2 here, which is Finney, Nee Fisher Black and Pfeiffer Georgie of Team Sunweb there, just driving this on the front of that trio. Now, she's just finished her exams, hasn't she? And she's been juggling things, multitasking galore, but just such a strong talent. But it's never easy for her to be without teammates in these races.
No, Georgie races for one of the best women's teams in the world. As we see now, Dame Sarah Story getting dropped from this leading group. This isn't good news for Story racing, but maybe the pace is just a little bit too much on these gradients.
We've seen Dame Sarah Story inject so much pace, haven't we, throughout stage 2 today. Didn't have the ideal scenario yesterday, but we just saw her go for it time and time and time again, taking to the front. She's ridden so solidly in that front group. But now we see Pfeiffer Georgie with Fisher Black. Yeah. Oh, what just happened there, Hannah?
I'm not quite sure, she just swerved, but I think she could have just hit a bird, or a grouse has just flown into her bike. I thought it might be the sheep that might be the problem today, but obviously not.
There's a lot going on here, isn't there, with sheep running across the road, and that did look like a bird hit her wheel. Luckily she stayed upright, looked like she did it with a little bit of a laugh and a smile on her face, as we are back with our leaders here, all just climbing in their own rhythm side by side, and it's Leah Dixon in the middle of your screen now. So it's Leah Dixon with 11k to go at the front of the race, followed there by Claire Steele and Jen Powell, all just putting in such an incredible display of power today.
Yeah, they've all worked, very, very well together. And, these three, I'd say, are some of the best climbers in the country right now in the UK scene. Leah Dixon especially, as you can just see now, she's just injected a little bit of pace. They're going to take a left turn in a minute. You can just see how open this course is on the top of the moors. With the wind and stuff, it certainly plays its part in seeing how the race plays out.
Yeah, you can see the level of the winds that they are battling today, can't you? But with that, the absolute smoothness that they tackle it with almost makes it look like they're not fighting the winds that they are. But it's Leah Dixon now that has looked over her shoulder, taken that turn, and actually just kept pushing to forge that gap. And these two are under pressure now.
Yeah, with only 15 kilometres to go, it's make or break now. They need to try and, get it back across to Leah Dixon. With the unknown certainty of the finish, with it being new, you don't want to leave it until too late to try and get back to Dixon.
And you can just see the slightly different pedalling styles here. Leah Dixon actually forging a slower cadence, pushing a bigger gear, and actually just choosing exactly the right time to put that pressure on, knowing that she can play to her strengths here. And we can just see that road opening out once again, and I think it's just testament to where we are with this National Women's Series, isn't it? Because you've got three incredibly strong teams here, and teams that actually have options within them. And now we're back with Pfeiffer Georgie and Fisher Black, who took the Queen of the Mountains yesterday and has just made light work of these hills. It's brilliant to see such a showing from this young rider.
Yeah, they're both working incredibly well together. And, 1 minute 50 now, that gap, it's kind of, touch and go as to whether they will catch it. But I think the way they're working together, and you can just see the speed on those moors of what they're going, it's just, incredible. As Leah Dixon now is 10 seconds ahead of the two chasers, Steele and Powell, with 10 kilometres to go now. But the two riders behind here who are chasing, they've just caught Dame Sarah Story. This is an opportunity for Sarah Story to get on the back of these two riders, try and get it back across.
Yeah, and it'll be welcome for her as it opens out to more and more exposed parts of this course in these closing kilometres now. And it's all to play for here, not just for the stage victory, but of course this is a 2-day stage race as well. 7 kilometres to go, and it's Leah Dixon who has increased that lead at the head of the action. And we talk about options within that team. Anna Henderson, that has been so prominent in this series, is away at the European Games. They had Bex Durrell out in the lead, taking the stage win on day one in that pink jersey. Leah Dixon's gone for it today, just proving how much talent is within that team.
Yeah, I completely agree, but it's also worth noting that they've got some very, very strong and loyal domestiques within the team, sort of like Annie Simpson, always dedicated herself to the team.
Yeah, always so important to recognise the hard work and graft of those super domestiques within all of the teams. And we are in the last kilometre of the race, and Leah Dixon has increased that lead to 42 seconds. It is in sight for her now, and she knows that it is more than possible. In fact, she needs to keep her head down, and she has that finish line in her sights very shortly to take the stage 2 victory. And also we'd have to see what that does to the general classification as well.
Big drag up here to the finish, isn't it, for Leah Dixon? But, you know, what an incredible ride from the Welsh rider. You know, she's been in the breakaway from more or less kilometre zero with the other riders. But yeah, just want to say, great to see so many crowds out on this change course. Great to have this as a welcome.
Yeah, we've always loved the Tour of the Reservoir, haven't we? It's such a favourite on the calendar, but we've got more and more spectators able to come out and watch roadside today. And you can just see those crowds forming in anticipation of this finish.
And just in the back of the shot, you can see the two chasers coming across. They'll be able to see Leah Dixon up on this finishing straight, but with the gap of 42 seconds, I don't think it's going to be possible for them to catch her. It looks like Leah Dixon will be our winner today in concept.
Well, we get a glimpse of Jennifer Powell and Claire Steele. They have been in brilliant formation, chasing so hard, but Leah Dixon increased that lead to over 40 seconds. She knew how to play to her strengths today. She had it in her sights, and she punches the air on that incline, crossing the finish line in front of these crowds, and she takes the stage to victory. So confirmation of that result. It's Leah Dixon of Brother UK Tifosi on form who takes the win, followed by Jen Powell of Bianchi Dama. Claire Steele's there in third. And looking at that general classification after today's stage, Leah Dixon clinches it and Jen Powell takes second. Claire Steele's once again in third.
We obviously started the day trying to defend Bex's jersey. That was the plan for the whole day. I think Jenny Powell attacked and Sarah went with her. So obviously team tactics was not to let anybody go. I decided to go with it. At first I was just sitting on because that was what the team orders were. And then eventually the gap went out to 3 minutes. So that was obviously the winning move. And then we got to the top of Edmund Byers and I decided to try and attack and maybe put a long one in, and it was a long finish from there, but like all credit to the girls in the break. They were absolutely fantastic all day.
So the overall classification standings after round 4, it is Rebecca Durrell that tops the table with 113 points, followed in second by Leah Dixon, and in third it's Pfeiffer Georgie. And those team standings look like this. It is Brother UK Tifosi powered by Unform at the top with a whopping 254 points. Well, that's all we've got time for here at this year's edition of the Alexandra Tour of the Reservoir, with that superb win going to a very deserving Leah Dixon there. Join us for the next round on Sunday the 7th, when we'll be heading to the Curlew Cup. Join us roadside or once again catch up with all the highlights here. In the meantime, for all the news you need on the HSBC UK National Women's Road Series, you're going to head to britishcycling.org.uk, and everything else you need is over on social media using that hashtag National Road Series. Until then, bye-bye for now.